Welcome back, everybody. Derek Sue, your East Oakland advocate. Well, today I'm going to pick up from where I left off yesterday on the Chinese experience in America. I left off on 1943. That was when the Exclusion Acts were repealed, 1943. So I'm going to pick up right after that. So I'm going to turn this around. We're going to go at it. This is where we left off yesterday. Then we have some pictures here. Then we're going to pick up in 1965, the Immigration Act and Nationality Act. Hart-Celler Act abolishes the racial and national origins quota system that had structured American immigration policy since the 1920s and replaces it with a preference system that focuses on immigrants' skills and family relationships with citizens or residents of the U.S. The act allows 170,000 visas per year, not including immediate relatives of U.S. citizens, nor special immigrants, including those born in independent nations in the U.S. hemisphere, former citizens, ministers, employees of the U.S. government abroad. 1969, Mark Lai, the Dean of Chinese American History, publishes a history of the Chinese in California, a syllabus and begins to teach courses in newly established ethnic study departments at Bay Area University. And that's his photo right there. Then after that, we go to 1982. Vincent Chin is bludgeoned with a baseball bat by two white auto workers, Ronald Ebens and Michael Nitz, in Detroit, Michigan. Chin killers are sentenced only to probation and a fine of $3,000 plus court fees. I remember this particular incident, and it was two white workers, auto workers, and they bludgeoned Chin to death because of the American auto workers were losing customers and sales to the Japanese market. And this, yeah, it was, even though he was Chinese, it didn't matter. He was Asian, and it was Asian hate that drove that particular hate crime right there. But at the time, there was no hate crime provision. So next up, we have 1983, the American Citizens for Justice. ACJC is a nonprofit organization founded in 1983 as an Asian Pacific American civil rights advocacy organization to fight for justice in the aftermath of the baseball bat beating death of Vincent Chin and the ensuing state criminal case and federal civil rights. Okay. Then we have 1998, American Competitiveness and Workforce Improvement Act is enacted, increases immigration of highly skilled foreign workers. 1999, Wen Ho Lee espionage case. Taiwanese American nuclear scientist Wen Ho Lee is victim of an unlawful leak by U.S. government officials when news organizations using anonymous sources report that Lee is the target of a spying investigation. Los Alamos Laboratory fires Lee after his indictment. He is then held in solitary confinement for 9 months that is unheard of. I remember this incident here, and it was wrong. It was so wrong. So anyway, we go to 2001, San Francisco. This is on 9/11. This is when it happened. San Francisco native Betty Ann Ong, who grew up in Chinatown, was a flight attendant on American Airlines Flight 11. Her heroic actions in calling the ground crew before the hijacked airplane crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center provided the first accurate information regarding the hijackers and convinces the FAA to enact the first ever closing of U.S. airspace. I remember that day. It was a pretty tough day for everybody. And then we go up here to 2006, Wen Ho Lee's successful lawsuit. He was never charged with espionage. Lee sues the U.S. government for the name of the anonymous officials who revealed protected personnel file information to reporters. 2006, after federal courts held that the reporters could be found in contempt of court if they did not reveal their sources, government and news organizations settled with Lee for $1.6 million. 2009, California legislature apologizes to the Chinese American community for racist laws and policies of the 19th and 20th century. I remember that, but also I was really busy at being broke and homeless at the time because I had lost my job already here in Union City. So we jump to 2011, March 4th. Civil rights and justice, more than 1 century in the making, sparked several Asian Pacific American groups to take steps seeking recognition for the social wrongs that have haunted Chinese descendants for over 100 years. October 6th, Senate passes Resolution 201, resolution addressing and expressing regret for the Chinese exclusion laws by unanimous consent. We go up here. Congress formally expresses regret for the Chinese Exclusion Act. Okay, I stopped at all of the apologies on the timeline. And the reason why I did that is because last year, the mayor of the city of Antioch came out and apologized for the harm and the murders that occurred in the city of Antioch to the Chinese. They literally murdered and killed people back in a time where another Chinatown had been established. And I know this for a fact because our family, quietly, we had a cannery, and it was the herring and sardine, one of the sardine factories and processing plants in the city of Antioch that was burned down by the white racists there. And they were also the same ones that beat, murdered, and killed Chinese people and burned down the Chinatown that existed at the time there in Antioch. And folks, this almost got lost in time, but I want to point this out. And it was here in the Liu Hing manuscript here, or the biography that Jean Moon Louis, my cousin, wrote. And this was from 1987, but it's missed in some of the recent writings, and so I just want to show you that it is here documented in this about 1928. Right there, you can see that about 1928. It was the West Coast Cannery Company in Antioch, and it says the shores of San Pablo. Well, some of the geography is a little wrong. That's actually Sassoon Bay, but close enough because Sassoon Bay flows right into the same. So anyway, there is the proof that I had been speaking of for a number of years to the family, that we had a herring packing company and processing plant along with the small Chinatown in Antioch, and it was destroyed by white races who did not want the Chinese in their city and on their shores. And the same with Monterey. In this same book, it mentions the Monterey cannery, and right above it, it mentions Cannery Row in Monterey, that we also had a cannery there, which processed sardines, and sardines were very plentiful and in high demand, especially in Europe. So this is the document right here that talks about that, and it's for now had been lost to history, but now here's the documentation that revives that, so that that apology that the mayor of Antioch made last year was very personal for me, because uh, our family lost the cannery uh, because of racism in the city of Antioch. And many people, Chinese men and workers, were murdered and beaten in this and driven away and out of the city of Antioch. And so that apology meant a lot to me and a lot to uh, our family, who had business there on the shores of the city of Antioch, and also in the city of Monterey. So thanks for joining me today. That wraps up for everything for the timeline and how it personally affects me. Thanks once again. We'll be right back.